Sonic University, Chapter 8, Tails' Lab. Tails sat his yellow gluteus maximus in his chair as if it were a leather nest and his butt was the mother bird. "Let's get to work," said Tails. He was home alone since his parents were out doing Jewish things, like reading the Toho and going to the local PNG ATM. Tails worked for hours without being paid, creating a device that would allow him to have wet dreams. "It is complete!" cried Tails. "This watch will allow me to have wet dreams with whoever I want," he laughed. The watch had 12 settings because watches have 12 numbers on them. 1 o'clock being just a date, maybe dinner at Wendy's or going to a movie like Cars 3 or Top Gun with Tom Cruise. Maybe not Top Gun with Tom Cruise because Tom Cruise is a Scientologist. So all the middle-aged women that watch the Scientology show don't like Tom Cruise or Top Gun anymore. 6 o'clock was pretty gruesome sex, to where they would tear each other genitals off out of pleasure because whenever someone is horny, any pain they receive is converted into pleasure. "I'm not sure what anything above 6 o'clock does, but it is probably too dangerous," Tails examined. He lied down in his bed, which was in his lab because he slept in his lab because he was a nerd ass. "Here we go, sex," he said. Tails set his watch to 3 o'clock and thought of his not very sexually active girlfriend, Cream the rabbit. "Zzz," said Tails. He was asleep because his eyes were closed and he made a zzz sound with his mouth. Tails woke up in the same place he fell asleep, in his bed, which was in his lab because he slept in his lab because he was a nerd ass. "Fuck, I didn't work," he shouted. Tails was about to cry like a sad fire truck with headlight cancer when he heard another voice. Excuse me? Tails, could we try something? Maybe sex," said a familiar, quiet voice. Tails turned around and saw Cream laying in his bed. Tails just got out of. Tails slept in his lab because he is a nerd ass. Cream was nude, like she wasn't wearing any clothes. She was also in his bed, which was in Tails' lab because he slept in his lab because he was a nerd ass. Tails began to shake. He forgot he was in a wet dream. "Sure," Tails screamed. Said Tails' crotch. Sadly, nothing seemed to come out since his cock was so small. All of a sudden, Tails forgot he didn't have any lubricant. If Cream's vagina was an engine block and Tails' under-average penis was a piston, there would need to be some oil/lubricant to keep the two from seizing, smoking, chipping away at each other, and exploding. Tails knew this because he was very good with mechanics, because he's the smartest, but Tails was not good at sexing a girl or guy if he gets too desperate. "Hold on 1 minute, Cream," he said. "Fuck, I need a lube," he rasped under his breath. "Okay, dear, but don't take too long, hee, laughed Cream. Her vagina dripped water, like a sink faucet you forgot to turn off all the way, so you need to take a second mortgage out to pay your super-duper high water bill. Cream was ready to sex. Just then, Tails started to use his brain, because he is the smartest. It sounded like a DVD player playing a very scratchy DVD because it was put in upside down. "Aha!" Tails laughed. He found some lube. He popped open his French horn case and pulled out his Sonic Blue juice valve lubricant for French horn, trademarked. "This'll work," smiled Tails as he lubed up his pencil-thick dick for Cream. "Is my big man ready?" Cream asked. There was already a small puddle of pussy juice on the bed. Tails needed to fucking hurry his ass up. "Here's your big man, Cream," Tails laughed. Cream slightly frowned. His penis was very, very, very small, and it was covered in blue lube that smelled like the band room. She didn't say anything, though, as Tails climbed on top of her like how the stock market climbs when a new Sonic phone TM releases. "Oh boy, sex time," cried Tails. Her pussy looked like a girl's private/swimsuit area. It smelled like candy hearts and pennies. Tails liked that very much. He rammed his penis into Cream, whose eyes were closed the whole time, like the door leading to my future hopes and dreams. "Is it in yet?" Cream asked after a few minutes of sexing. Tails looked up at her to answer that, yes, his tiny as a baby's penis was inside her. But then Tails saw her non-curvy but straight body and her boobies, which were as flat as some Coloradans say Earth is. It was too much for the poor little guy. "Fuck!" shouted Tails as 2 drops of semen sputtered out of Tails' pencil penis into Cream's flat and straight body. Cream stared at the 2 drops in pure horror, like when cool Uncle Tim gets you a dildo for your birthday, but you are a boy. Tails immediately woke up. "It worked," he cried. "I had a wet dream," Tails cried. What Tails didn't think about was what Cream saw. She also had the same wet dream with Tails and was unsatisfied. "Wow, Tails' penis didn't work. I need to find someone with a bigger one because I need to find out what a sex really feels like," said Cream. Tails had just set a spark in Cream. She had gone from an innocent young girl to someone who needed to know what proper sex feels like, because Tails was as good at sex as a monkey with autistic cancer. "I need more," shouted Tails. He rammed his wet dream watch up to 12 o'clock. He knew it was dangerous, but he didn't care at the moment. "Vanilla the rabbit, here I come," laughed Tails as he dozed off because his eyes were closed and he made a zzz sound. Tails did not know what level of sex to expect, since 3 o'clock was too much for him. End of chapter 8.